All right, we got the Niners and the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. So these division games obviously get really tough at times, and Brock Purdy comes into Seattle. He's played well against Seattle in the past, and I expect that to continue. He should be a top 12-ish tight end, or top 12-ish top play this week at the quarterback position. And the score indicates to me, obviously it's been coming down. It was at 45.5 to begin the week. It's come down all the way to 43.5, which lets me know this team, they're expecting a defensive battle between the two teams. We do get Juwan Jennings signing, at least coming back to camp. He got $3 million in incentives, so he has a reason to play. The receiving core should be there for Brock Purdy with Ricky Pearsall, with George Kittle, with Christian McCaffrey back in the lineup. So all systems go for Brock Purdy until Ayuk gets back, which will make things even better. For now, I trust Brock Purdy as a back-end QB1. I think he's a floor-based. He'll use his legs at times. Obviously, the offense knows how to get things done with Brock Purdy manning the ship. When it comes to receivers, Ricky Pearsall to me is a wide receiver 4 flex play. I want to see what it looks like with him. He's third in the pecking order behind Kittle and CMC. With no Debo there, they talked about he can be the Debo replacement, the new Yak Bro in this offense. So Ricky Pearsall does have some potential. He showed out at times last year, but that was also without Christian McCaffrey in the lineup. So with Christian McCaffrey, with George Kittle, is Ricky Pearsall going to see the same looks? If he can get to that 5 to 6 catch range, I feel really good about Ricky Pearsall being like a moving forward, being a wide receiver 3, consistent wide receiver 3 for our teams. But we need to see it. I need to see, is he getting 4 to 5 catches a game? Can we trust him in our lineups? And does he have potential for more than that? Is he getting used in the red zone? And Kyle Shanahan will tell us very quickly, especially against the Seattle team, which they're going to have to go to, some of their trick plays. These two teams know each other very well. Ricky Pearsall, to me, keep him as a wide receiver 4 right now, flex play right now. But he does have upside for a lot more than that, including in this game. Juwan Jennings expected to give it a go this week. He was injured coming into the week, but money heals a lot. So obviously getting his playing time and his incentives, I think we see Juwan Jennings on the field. He played well at times last year, but it was sporadic. It was specific games where we saw Juwan Jennings play the part. And so I think motivated for money, motivated to get a new contract. I do think we see the best of Juwan Jennings, who should be fine as a flex play this week, just like Ricky Pearsall. I think we'll see a lot of things shake out between the two over the next few weeks. As far as Christian McCaffrey, automatic start, top 3 option this week. If he's healthy and good to go, Christian McCaffrey should be among the top 3 running backs on most weeks. Probably a little bit matchup dependent as far as being top 3. But I think the one thing I don't know that we see is the old Christian McCaffrey, the one who touched the ball 25 plus times a game. I don't think the Niners need to do that, and I think that's why you go get a Brian Robinson. It's not exciting for a lot of people, but Brian Robinson in his own right was, a consistent threat for 1,000 yards, a consistent threat for 10 touchdowns. I don't know if he ever got to 1,000 yards, but he was that kind of back, a back that can go grind out 50 to 60 yards a game, a back that could score a touchdown in the red zone, and even at times would be used in the passing game. He wasn't targeted heavily in the passing game, but he showed potential in the passing game at times. I don't think he's a threat to Christian McCaffrey, but what I do think is this might be more of a split than we think. Instead of it being 80% Christian McCaffrey, 20% Brian Robinson, it might be like 65-35. We're talking McCaffrey's in the 15 to 20 touch range, and then Brian Robinson's in that 10 to 12 touch range. I want to see what it looks like, especially against Seattle. They're going to have to go to the ground. I'm very curious about Brian Robinson if he's more than just a handcuff, which I think he is. And then George Kittle has had very good success against Seattle, especially recently. Fire up George Kittle. He's my top tight end play on the board this week. As far as Seattle goes, their offensively, they are dealing with the change at the quarterback position and new offense under Clint Kubiak. Sam Darnold will be taking over as the quarterback heading into this rivalry. And we got to see what Sam Darnold looks like. Obviously, he knows the San Francisco system very well. And Shanahan knows Sam Darnold very well. But Sam Darnold played really well last year, was a QB1, and now he's been viewed as like this QB3. I think we punished him a little too much. It's tough to rank him above other players. But This Seattle offense could be better than we think. Clint Kubiak is a good offensive coordinator. So, and he has weapons around him. So I think Sam Darnold's probably going to be more QB2-ish than his QB3 draft spot. I'm just not sure who I'm going to rank him ahead this week. I think I have him mid-tier QB2 or back-end QB2 this week. That's where I'm pretty sure he's at in my rankings. As far as the receiver position goes, Jackson Smith-Njigba, great season last year. And, benefited a lot from having DK Metcalf there, Tyler Lockett. This is going to be his receiving room now. You have Cooper Kupp in there, who I'll talk about in a second. But JSN is going to have a world of opportunity to be the guy this year. It remains to be seen. Sam Darnold going to force feed him, get him, enough targets to justify his top 12 ADP right now to be a wide receiver 1, or is he more wide receiver 2-ish? You're going to have more sporadic production and output. I think he's, for now, I kind of think he reminds me a little bit. I've said this before about like Chris Olave 2 years ago, where Chris Olave was like great some weeks, kind of quiet other weeks. I think we see that version of it more so than we see the top 12-ish version that everybody's expecting. So with different coverages rolled to him now, we get to see is Jackson Smith-Njigba truly an elite receiver, and can he take that next step, or is he going to be stuck in this middle ground of like having strong performances, but then go quiet at times if it's matchup dependent? I think Cooper Kupp is also a good play here. He knows the San Francisco 49ers very well. They know him very well. But it remains to be seen, is he going to be used exclusively out the slot, which is where he was with the Rams, or are they going to leave JSN, let him play the slot a little bit more? So who knows what that looks like. One of those two is going to have to play the slot primarily. I'd anticipate Cooper Kupp doing that. I think JSN can play outside a little bit better than Cooper Kupp can at this stage of his career. And the Niners, obviously are going to have, the pass rush is there. This defense is there to be able to slow things down. I think Cooper Kupp should see some immediate volume in this game against the Niners. Fire him up as a back-end wide receiver 3 for now until we see him prove that he is over his injuries and is still elite. Remember, Cooper Kupp, up until the last point of the year, Cooper Kupp was a top 5 receiver on a points per game basis. So don't let that slip your mind. If you have Cooper Kupp, be excited if things go well this week. And then just if it doesn't go well this week, just know you probably have a guy that's going to be up and down wide receiver 3 or 4 at times. But if it goes well, you might have more than that. As far as the ground game goes, if you're going to beat San Francisco, you can do it a little bit in the interior. And you can run on the Niners. They were a bottom 5 team against running backs last year. When it comes to Kenneth Walker, he was dealing with some injuries. That's been the one thing with him, is can he stay healthy? When he plays, he's electric. For the most part, for those watching, I dropped a little gem about his yards per carry, but he dealt with injuries last year, and he has kind of throughout his entire career. So I want to see, can Kenneth Walker make improvements this year? Can he stay healthy? Because right behind him, Zach Charbonnet is there. For me, he's a high-end running back 2 this week. And I trust Kenneth Walker in the lineup. It's just, does this look like a split, or are they going to give Kenneth Walker the full workload and passing game work? We want to see Kenneth Walker get more passing game work. It started to happen last year. We didn't get to see it come to fruition. With Clint Kubiak, that's been one of the talking points, is that they wanted to get him more involved in the passing game. And Clint Kubiak was able to do that with Alvin Kamara last year, with Christian McCaffrey in the past to the 49ers. So Kenneth Walker in a really nice setup. If he can't take advantage of that, Zach Charbonnet is waiting in the wings. Had a strong preseason. The run game looked good. Just watching the preseason tape, the scheme, the way Clint Kubiak's scheming his things up, there's going to be ample opportunity for Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. What does the split look like? 50-50, 60-40, 70-30. I want to know that part before I fully invest in Kenneth Walker being top 10, 12-ish on a weekly basis, or even Zach Charbonnet having potential in this offense if he's anything more than a handcuff. I want to see if this is a 50-50 thing. Zach Charbonnet might have opportunity more than we think later on down the line. And then as far as the tight end goes, we have A.J. Barner. We have Elijah Arroyo. We're waiting on both of those guys to see how it emerges. Neither really poses a threat. There was a lot of talk about Elijah Arroyo. If you drafted him, A.J. Barner is the current starter right now. I would have to see something to kind of change my mind on either one of those players. Oh, and before I forget, and Torrey Horton, a name this preseason. A lot of people picked him up. He had a very strong preseason. Just a name to watch right now. I wouldn't start him in almost any form, maybe a 16-team league if I was desperate. I would be watching this to see if he has a bigger presence than I'm thinking. So Torrey Horton, a name to watch in redraft. I think in your 16-team leagues, you might have him on your bench already. I'm okay if you want to take a chance. I would be more amped to just wait and see what happens with Torrey Horton as opposed to playing him.